American Civil War, the deadliest American conflict, amassing a total of over 600,000 casualties. What started as a debate over slavery and states' rights would soon become an armed conflict with the firing at Fort Sumter. While the North and South fought across the terrain of Virginia, out west, the Union planned to make good on General Scott's Anaconda Plan. As forces pushed up and down the Mississippi River, the key to the Confederacy, Vicksburg, came into sight. Its strategic location made it the Gibraltar of the West. Mississippi was crucial for supplies going south and goods going north. For months, General Ulysses S. Grant searched for a way into the city. Land routes, water routes, even an attempt at digging a canal from the river failed. At the same time, Union forces suffered a disastrous defeat at Fredericksburg and Chancellorsville. As winter gave way to spring, Grant became restless and determined to capture the city. He devised a bold plan that required marching down the west bank of the Mississippi and crossing below the city at Grand Gulf. This bold offensive would require the Army of the Tennessee to cut off their supply line and live off the land. With the aid of Admiral Porter and his gunboats, the army set off. On April 16th, Admiral Porter sneaks his fleet past the guns of the city, but at their rendezvous, Grant experiences difficulties in crossing. He decides to head further south to Bruinsburg. Once across, he fights a battle at Port Gibson, then moves to take Raymond and the strategic rail station at Jackson. On May 14th, Jackson is captured, ensuring that if any Confederates came to the aid of Vicksburg, they would have to fight their way. Recognizing that the Confederate command was splintered, with Pemberton refusing to leave Vicksburg and Johnston miles away, Grant made the decision to attack the city. On May 16th, Pemberton attempted to flee, fighting a battle at Champion's Hill. He was forced back into the city's defenses, fighting a rearguard action at the Battle of the Big Black River on May 17th. With nowhere to go, Grant orders an assault on the city, but only Sherman's 15th Corps engages on May 18th. Sherman forces his way into the Confederate defenses at Stockade Redan along Graveyard Road. The Redan was captured on May 19th, but the Union advance faltered. With the city surrounded, Grant orders a bombardment of the defenses, lasting 4 hours and ending at 10 a.m. Union forces then advance with Sherman along Graveyard Road, McPherson along Jackson Road, and McClernand along the railroad. Surprisingly, despite a 10-foot ditch and 20-foot high walls in front of him, McClernand's forces captured the railroad redoubt and the 2nd Texas Lunette. It would be the only Union victory of the day. This setback caused Grant to rethink his operation, and despite being against the siege, realized it was his only option. For 47 days, the Union wrapped around the Confederate defenses, approaching closer and closer while continuing to bombard the city with cannon fire. This tight circle cut the Confederates off from everything they needed, forcing their rations to get less and less, to the point they were eating their horses and dogs. At the same time, they were constantly exposed to the summer heat. The soldiers weren't the only ones experiencing hardship. The civilians, too, were forced to live a life outside of the norm. They dug out caves and lived underground for more than a month. On June 25th, Grant gave permission for a tunnel to be dug under the Confederate works and explosives were set off. Thanks to 2,200 pounds of black powder, a crater was formed that was 12 feet deep, resulting in over 20 hours of hand-to-hand fighting. The battle was all for naught as the Union forces retreated. On July 3rd, having endured enough, Pemberton agreed to meet Grant under a flag of truce. He would not give in to Grant's demands for unconditional surrender, and back both sides went. Perhaps with some forethought that the citizens in Vicksburg were still Americans, Grant reconsidered his options and offered parole to Confederate defenders for the surrender of the city. On Independence Day, July 4th, 1863, the city officially surrendered. The day prior, Gettysburg resulted in a Union victory. Together, these two would spell the beginning of the end for the Confederacy. In all, the siege resulted in 37,273 casualties, of which 32,363 were Confederates.
When no rockets fly
After this point, the Union would push into the interior from the Mississippi. Grant would earn a promotion and coordinate the Union forces pushing south into Virginia at the same time. Union victory hinged on the surrender of Vicksburg in the summer of 1863, and the Confederacy would never recover. If you enjoyed this video, check out my shorter video on the USS Cairo, which sits on the park property next to the graveyard. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at PastAndPresent4. Thanks for watching.